You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
Welcome to the Hot Options Report, your premier source for insight into the fast-moving options market. Each day, we'll track down the products that are dominating the options chains and impacting your trading account, from NVIDIA to VIX and everything in between. If it's lighting up the options tape, then you'll find it on the Hot Options Report.
All right, everybody. That music means we are back for another wild day on the Hot Options Report. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com. Remind you at the top of the show, make sure you subscribe to the full network, wherever you get your favorite programs. And, of course, if you want to go above and beyond, you want to join us on the dark side, a little bit of options, oddities, exclusives, all sorts of fun, theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to learn more about that. And, of course, if you want to follow along with all the data on the show and get a whole boatload of free data, that's pretty freaking good if I do say so myself. Better than what a lot of brokers are serving up these days. TheHotOptionsReport.com. It literally goes along with the show. The URL is the title of the show. You can't forget it. TheHotOptionsReport.com. Be there or be square as we keep on rolling right on into an absolutely wild day, a historic day in many regards out there on the street today, listeners. We came into the start of the session, everyone thinking NVIDIA was going to save the day. NVIDIA, the white knight, riding to the rescue of the street. And lo and behold, not so fast. After a massive rally out of the gate, all of those legs got cut out from underneath the market. And after whipsawing around all day long, S&P closes off about 1.56%. NASDAQ off over 2%. The Dow off about 0.85%. And our good buddy VIX Cash popping north of a 26 handle, 2642, up nearly 3 points. So just an absolutely wild day out there. We haven't seen levels like this in VIX in a while. The high was actually over 28, 27 at one point today, listeners. Again, threatening a 30 handle. Haven't seen that in VIX Cash in some time, so you know it was going to be a hot day in VIX options land, and that was the case. 1.61 million contracts changing hands in VIX today, listeners. Again, an absolutely explosive day out there. The hot option on a very hot day. It was the D's 18 puts. Once again, maybe the fade is in. 145,000 of these going up for 65 cents. You like that, listeners? Would you be willing to roll the bones on vol getting back below an 18 handle by D's expiration? There is some OI on this strike, so some folks could be bailing. But either way, an interesting trade to kick us off as we keep on rolling out to SPY land, listeners. SPY was absolutely on fire today. Like we said, closing off a little over 1.5%. 652.53 was where SPY went out today. Yes, threatening the 6,500 handle, listeners, in the wrong direction today if you're a bull out there. Absolutely explosive day. 16.6 million contracts changing hands in SPY today. That blows away the ADV of 9.8 million. And that is indeed, if you're wondering, that is indeed a new record out there in SPY. The previous high was set back in April of 15.4 million contracts. So 16.6, blowing it away by over a million contracts, about 1.2 million contracts. So an absolutely explosive day. You know, when we're getting into April territory again from a volume perspective, that things were absolutely wild intraday out there. The hot option on an absolutely explosive day. You know what? We were talking about this on Twifo. We saw action on 6,500s today, 6,800s, 7,000s. Pick a strike. It was hot in the SPX and in SPY today. The top dog today, though, was the 675 call. 330,000 of these changing hands out there today. Average price nearly $1.95. That's rough. Let's hope someone overwrote the heck out of those. That was opening paper, and just they gritted their teeth throughout the rest of the session. But wow, if you bought these in that early morning rally, that's going to leave a mark. But either way, SPY leaving a mark out there today. Just absolutely explosive volume. Let's keep rolling out to the S. The S, same deal, listeners, just whipsawing all over the place. Ended up settling out 65, 38, 76, off over 100 handles, 103 handles net on the day, about 1.56%. Absolutely wild day. If you're wondering, did we hit a new record in the SPX? No, but it was so close. Within spitting distance, 6.38 million contracts changing hands in the SPX. If you're wondering, the record came not in April, but actually back on October 10th, 6.42 million contracts. So within spitting distance of that record, close but no cigar. The ADV 4.4, so obviously blowing that away by nearly 2 million contracts. Again, strikes all over the place. We're lighting it up in the SPX today, listeners. But if you got to pick the top dog, it was 113,000 of these 6650 calls. Average price for these, $4.30. Same deal. If you paid anything for these and you rode them into the close, including $4.32, you had a bit of a rough day out there. But you had opportunities. We were whipsawing. You had opportunities to get out of all of these things, listeners. As we keep on rolling out to small caps. Small caps giving up the ghost out there today as well. As they are wont to do, small caps like to make an impression on a day like today. We have IWM going out 229.11, off 432 or nearly 2% today. So again, all those put strikes we were talking about, 235, 230, starting to look pretty good right now, listeners. Was it a record day in small caps today? Once again, the answer was no, but just missing it. Put up 3.7 million contracts in IWM. That is explosive paper. That is just absolutely wild paper out there. That's actually over 2x the ADV. The ADV is 1.81 million, so obviously more than 2x that, but just below the record, which was set back in September 17th, 3.97 million contracts. So close but no cigar in small caps today. But we did have a banger day. The hot option out there today, 202,000 of the 210 puts. These are expiring next week, listeners. So in the weeklies, average price for these, 11 cents. It seems like paper was selling the heck out of these. So someone could be drawing the line in small caps. 210, this far, no farther, then I will buy some if that is the case. So you like that, listeners? Is that a screaming sale to you? 210, that seems kind of wild. But then again, all strikes are on the table these days, listeners. Let's wrap up the indices today on an absolutely wild day in the markets with the Qs. The Qs giving up the ghost out there, settling out 585.67, off about 14.2 handles or about 2.33%. So again, a rough day for the Qs after starting out so hot out of the gate, listeners. Putting up 9.33 million contracts today. If you're wondering, that does appear to be a new record. The previous high was set on October 10th, 7.43 million out there. So nearly 2 million more contracts over that record. That's a wild number. The ADV out there, 5.4 million. So just blowing that away. So again, lots of records being made. A very historic day out there in the markets. April, watch out. Here we come, maybe. Just wild stuff from a volume perspective. I'm just talking volume, not talking underlying movement, just volume perspective. Don't get scared, all you bulls. The hot option out there in the Qs today, 150,000 of the 590 puts, listeners. So again, kind of a wild strike. Once again, average price for these, $2.45. 590, absolutely wild. And you know what? We did obviously close below that. So if you rode these into the close, you're looking pretty good right now. As we keep on rolling out to single name equity options, are they looking pretty good today? The answer is yeah. It finally took pretty much a massive intraday whipsaw followed by a massive sell-off to really kick single name equities into high gear, but they're coming for the volume today. 750,000 contracts is what would cost you to break into the top 10 today. That gets us to our old pal, good old Mr. Softy, aka Microsoft. And yeah, they came from Microsoft today. 478.43, off about 7 3/4, about 1.6%. The hot option out there today, 39,000 of the 540 puts expiring tomorrow. That's a wild one. Those were opening as well. Nearly $61. These are obviously very far in the money. Looking pretty good right now. That's an interesting use case of capital, but I guess when softies falling out of bed, you want to get short. That's certainly one way to go about it as we keep on rolling to number 9, listeners. It's the Amazonians, 894,000 contracts on the tape. Spoiler alert that came for Amazon today as well. 217.14 off $5.50 or about 2.5%. So absolutely wild stuff. The hot option out there today, nearly 30,000 of the 225 calls. So maybe a little bit of upside optimism persists. These went up for about $1.50. These obviously went up earlier in the session. It was opening paper. I'm sure if they had to do it again, maybe not so much. Anything could happen tomorrow. We could have a reversal out there, but $1.50 for the 225s expiring tomorrow seems a wee bit optimistic as we keep on rolling to number 8. It's our old pal Alphabet, listeners. 289.45 off about 3 1/3 of 1.15%. They resisted the sell-off for much of the day, and that Buffett premium has been keeping them aloft for the better part of a week now, but finally got sucked to the downside with everything else today, putting up 900,000 contracts out there today. So a very spicy day in Alphabet. The hot option out there, 48,000 of the 305 calls. Average price for these, $1.87. Once again, listen, it looks like if you were doing the old buy the rally trade out there today, could have been a bit of a rough one. Again, anything could happen tomorrow. Alphabet could kick it into high gear again. 15 handles is not unforeseeable, but it would be a wild move. We'll keep an eye on them as we keep on rolling to number 7. This one, spooking a lot of people out there today. This is our old pal, the Monster, formerly known as MicroStrategy, now just known by the boring name of Strategy. 939,000 contracts on the tape for them coming in at the number 7 spot. People have been talking for a while, myself included, about the seemingly perpetual money machine that is Strategy and the Bitcoin treasury strategy in general. They're coming for it today. 177.13 off about 9 1/3 or about exactly 5% for good old Strategy. The hot option out there today. Once again, to the upside though, 39,000 of the par calls. Now, the 200 calls. Average price for these, $3.34. If that sounds outlandish, I agree with you, but also they're buying a little bit of time at least here. They're buying the pars expiring next week. So can Strategy have the mother of all rebounds by this time next week? I guess we'll find out, listeners. If they sold them, they just got to wait a little bit and hope a Strategy doesn't turn around. As we keep on rolling to number 6, it's the Fruit Company. Another one that's been hard to drag down of late. They managed to do it today, but ever so slightly. 266.25 off about 2 1/3, or not even a full percent out there, listeners. Putting up 1.08 million out there. The hot option, 80,000 of the 275 calls. So once again, we are tilting to the upside. And again, they're not giving these away. Nearly $1.95 for these. All opening paper. Once again, if you rode these through the close, it's kind of an ouchie. You got a day to go. Apple not usually known to rally 9 or 10 handles in a session. Again, anything's possible if we get a big rally tomorrow, but that would take some doing if you bought these, listeners. If you keep on rolling to number 5, the artist formerly known as Facebook. Meta back below the par strike, 589.25 off about $1.10. So kind of almost unched on the day. They did get as high as 606.72. So bear that in mind, but just an absolutely interesting day. They fought the red for as much as they could, listeners. Putting up 1.15 million contracts. The hot option, 65,000 of the 650 puts. Average price for these, $62. So once again, an interesting strategy out. It looks like paper could have been selling these, in which case that's a fairly aggressive line in the sand, listeners. You're pretty much saying, I'm drawing a line in the sand in Meta, pretty close to right here, 588, this far and no farther. Otherwise, I'm buying myself some Meta. So, interesting stuff. Would you be willing to draw that line in the sand, listeners, as we keep on rolling to number 4? Good old AMD putting up nearly 1.3 million contracts today. Obviously, if they're coming for all the tech names, including NVIDIA, they're coming for AMD today as well. 206, pretty much exactly, off $17.50, nearly 8%. So an absolutely wild day for AMD out there as well. Again, putting up nearly 1.3 million contracts. The hot option, 44,000 of the 240 calls. So once again, hope springs eternal, listeners. 240s. What kind of day would it be if these calls paid off tomorrow, listeners? Average price for these, 32 cents. At this point, you got to hope you sold the heck out of those. That's a heck of a covered call. I don't think you'd be too mad if you had the stock and you sold those and it rallied all the way and you got called away at 240 tomorrow. That would be a hell of a trade. But either way, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll also keep an eye on number 3. This one, you know it's rocking and rolling on a day like today. Palantir, 1.35 million contracts. Closing today, 155 3/4, off nearly 970 or about almost 6%. So they were coming for Palantir today. We haven't seen a 150 handle in Palantir in some time. You got to go all the way back to September of this year, really, to see. And before that, it was really July. So, yeah, interesting stuff out here in good old Palantir. The hot option out there today. We are going to the dark side, listeners. 71,000 of the 150 puts. Average price for these, about $1.13 out there. So we shall see in Palantir as we keep on rolling to number 2, listeners. It's Tesla putting up some monster paper today. 3.53 million contracts. Closing 395.04, off nearly $9 or about 2.25%. They did get as high as nearly 430 today, 428.94. So wild swings out there in Tesla today as well. Putting up 3.53 million contracts. That's an impressive amount of volume, but not a record. We've seen Tesla do a lot more than that. Actually over double that. About 7.39 million contracts is the high. That came actually in June. So kind of wild when all these names hit their collective highs. This one coming in June, not in April. So not quite there today, but a very active day. The hot option in Tesla today, listeners. This one's probably leaving a mark right now. 135,000 of the 430s. Average price for these, $257. If you paid literally anything for these, listeners, that's going to be rough. Now, again, Tesla can make it back there tomorrow. If any name could do it, it's Tesla. Either way, just wild stuff out here in Tesla. That means the big dog, you know what it is. It's NVIDIA, listeners. NVIDIA seemed like they were riding in as the white knight for the market today. Here comes NVIDIA to the rescue just when the bulls needed them most, and everything was hunky-dory for the first roughly third of the session or so. And then that was all she wrote. The worm turned out there. Can't just be NVIDIA making money in the AI boom at the end of the day. Other people have to make some money eventually as well. And apparently the bears came out with their claws today. 6.72 million contracts. That may sound like a lot, but we've seen NVIDIA put up far more than that in the past. Their big day actually came in January. So NVIDIA, again, the records are kind of wild to see when they all hit their highs for volume. January 27th, to be precise, they put up over 10, about 10.2 million contracts. So that was a single name equity record in and of itself out there, but not quite getting there today, right around 6.75 million. Still an impressive day compared to recent volume for NVIDIA. NVIDIA closing 180.64, off nearly $6, about 590, little over 3%. The hot option out there, once again, we're going to the upside. It's 302,000 of the par calls, the 200 calls. We never even got there today. We got to 196. Remember, I said on the hot options report yesterday, we were looking good in the after hours. Got up to about 196. That turned out to be about all she wrote. So if you paid literally anything for these, listeners, including the average price of about 60 cents, that's looking pretty rough. Again, you can see what happens tomorrow. 20 handles in NVIDIA by tomorrow. That seems like probably a bridge too far, but we shall keep an eye on it, listeners. That is going to do it for us on the Hot Options Report for today. Back again tomorrow. Spoiler alert, we're going to have some vol to talk about, so you want to join us on Volatility Views tomorrow. It's going to be a hot one. And then after that, for all of our pro folks, we're back again for Options Oddities. Again, should be a wild one tomorrow before we wrap it all up with our final Hot Options Report for a historic week. We'll see you then. And of course, we mean it more than ever in these kinds of markets. Stay safe out there.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.